Good morning. Appreciate you being here. Just after watching everything, just continue to be disappointed in the outcome. Obviously, the goals to win the game. Didn't play good enough to win the game, and that's what we got to do. So, look at everything very, openly and honestly with the staff, and proud of our defense. Thought our defense played extremely well, but can play better. Still made some mistakes that gave up some things, but obviously against a very, very hot offense that was playing really well. Really good running back, did a great job against them, not giving things up. They gave up 13 points and felt like it could have been less than that if we would have executed correctly. So, but at the same time, feel like we still got to get more takeaways. Needed one more to try and create an opportunity for ourselves. Obviously, offensively, not getting the job done. Got to protect the football. Not doing that, that's costly. It's been very costly again, and then not scoring in the red zone. And then special teams, I still feel like, our punt team was not what it needed to be. The quality of the punts, missed a chance to down the ball inside the 5 where I thought we were going to, and we didn't. We just kind of mishandled it. And that changes drives. That was a field goal drive for them. Start on the 20, should have started inside the 5. And those kind of things, that's how you win games like that. Close games that going to come down to final possessions and being able to get the job done there. So I just spent a lot of time these last couple of days here working on that, and that's, will not stop. Excited about the opportunity we have coming up. Great football team coming to Bloomington night game. Love that type of atmosphere. So excited to have the stadium packed, and our guys are going to be ready, and we're going to have a great week of practice and welcome this challenge with an excitement and intensity that I know is going to demand. Questions?
Obviously, you mentioned the offense not getting the job done. I guess what more did you see on a rewatch, and what when you got more of an opportunity to evaluate how Jack did in his first start this year? What did you see?
Yeah, he did some good things, but the 2 picks were costly. One was pressured, one was not. Just got to protect the football. You don't make when you're pressured, sack's not a bad thing. We got to punt. Defense is playing at a high level. So just protect the football. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Better decisions. He made some mistakes, but first time starting this year. Still at times looked like he was, a guy that hasn't played a lot of football as far as collectively, which he has not, but still expected him to play a little better than he did, but he's got to rise up, and he'll learn from it. He'll play better. He's got to execute. Had some open receivers that we didn't hit at times that hurt us, even in the red zone. And some of that was protection, but mostly it was just getting his eyes to the right spots. But solid performance, but not good enough, So, but he'll get better, and we got to play better around him. We got to coach better. We got to give him some better options and do a better job. I got to do a better job. That's buck stops with me.
Yeah. Tom, Ohio State's obviously an incredibly explosive offense. How much of a test is that for your defenses playing well, and what's the one thing you feel like you need to kind of take away in terms to have success to kind of neutralize them?
Yeah, they create a lot of issues. They're just so explosive. Their receiver core is different than you usually will see. They got 3 receivers that are as good as anybody you're going to face in the country, and so that puts a lot of stress on you. Talented quarterback. Talented running backs as well. But I just think not allowing those explosive pass plays, to me, is really what they just get guys so wide open, it seems, and it's tough. It puts a ton of stress on you. But obviously you can't, you got to stop the run. There's no doubt about that. But just giving those up, that's where they can really pile it on and score fast, and be able to make it difficult on you as well. So I think, that whole concept of pressuring the quarterback and being able to do things there with stressing him out mentally and physically is going to be key.
Tom, forgive me. I'm sure you're not going to break it down in specific X's and O's, but we've asked about the offensive line in kind of different ways, and I know you guys feel like you're getting more or less your best 5 out there at this point from a health perspective and things like that. Just what, I guess, from your vantage point, are you trying to do that's not working consistently enough maybe to give you that platform to keep pressure off the quarterback, to stay on schedule offensively, and certainly to obviously execute like in the red zone and things like that?
Yeah, I think just continuing to to work. I mean, we got to find some ways, I think, schematically to take some pressure off to give them the ability to execute. But I do think when you go through and you look and when you evaluate, the phrase that came back to me was consistent execution. That to me is where we've continued to did better at times, but not good enough. And I think the end was kind of glaring because that's what you ever remember the finish, and that wasn't didn't give us a chance to be able to get the ball down the field and make the throws we need to make, but I feel like that, just you got to look at the big picture of it all to try to continue. And there's certain guys you might say, hey, we're going to try and go through and put, a guy, get him some more reps, within that unit. I think that's a possibility for sure. But just to continue to find ways to, not allow the defense to be able to gang up, tee off, have faster reads, be able to cause pause in those reads is, to me, is I think something that I really want to, do a better job of as an offense. And but it does start up front, and did some good things, but not good enough. It's got to be consistent. I say it's got to be consistent. It's more timely mistakes, a miscommunication or ability to not pick up a twist here or there at the wrong time, when it really showed up. Sometimes those things can happen and it doesn't create a game-changing negative play, and it seemed to happen more frequently in this one when those things did occur, So, but still, just not to what we have to be. Obviously, we know what the objective is, and we got to score points, and we got to be able to, we did move the football, but especially in the first half, and we had 46 snaps, 46 plays, and 9 points. It's not good enough. We got to get points. Got to score points. Got to kick. Can't be kicking those field goals as many as we did, and glad we made them. But at the same time, you knew it was going to need more than that, and obviously we did.
Tom, I know you don't like to talk about injuries and availability and such, but the Ohio State receiving corps that you mentioned, very, very talented. Can you at least give us an idea as to whether you think Taiwan and Reese will be available for Saturday? And if you could also talk about the depth in that secondary that's really stood up, like Noah Pierre and Josh Sanguinetti.
Yeah, I would say hopeful with those two guys, but it's just kind of one of those situations where we don't know for sure. I don't know right now today. Definitely need them and want to get them ready. And whatever we can play, have them play, will be huge for us. They're two very talented players, and just working every day, man. They're working their tails off, and our staff's doing everything they can do. So hopefully that will be likely at least get one of them if we can. And then Noah Pierre really sticks out to me. Matter of fact, I mentioned him yesterday. 9 tackles, huge interception at the end. There's no question they were going after him, and just so proud of him. A few weeks ago he was playing a different position, and he's played multiple positions in our secondary and our third down packages. And so just a tough, hard-nosed kid that we loved when we saw him out of high school, just because we thought he was just a competitive guy. Knew he was a little undersized, but loved his heart, loved his passion, loved the way he played the game, how physically he played the game, and just thought he was a competitor. And that's just proven to be true, and he's just did a heck of a job for us and made plays even the previous week. And this week he obviously was called upon, and we thought Reese was going to be able to go a lot more than he did, and obviously wasn't quite ready yet when he tried to get out there and play, and so it put a lot of pressure on him. And then Josh Sanguinetti, same thing. I mean, he's showing up all over the place in different situations and got a huge pick. And I just think that that's where those guys we've needed him to. He had to play early in the season when Monster was down, and now he's playing a more expanded role on third downs and learning different things and moving them around and trying to make adjustments. So those guys got to continue to show up. We need more guys to continue to do that. We need guys to do that at other positions as well. And that's part of having guys recruiting guys, and we need them. This whole team needs to rise up, and everybody's got a role to play, and everybody's got an opportunity, and opportunities created because of oftentimes injuries from other guys around you. So when this opportunity comes, we're going to see who's going to, step up and take advantage of it.
Yeah, we got to see Donovan McCauley a little bit finally. Are you trying to manage that 4-game redshirt situation with him, or are you going to try to be more aggressive?
We were going to, and now we're not. So when Michael went down, we basically had to make the decision that he's going to have to go. So, but before that kind of was the thought. We just used those 4 games, in a judicious way. But now he's the number 2 guy, and he's training to be the next guy in, and so expect to see him more. And really kind of even thought we might use him a little bit more Saturday. And then I wanted to see us do that, and we will. And so we're just trying to get him. Obviously, that was his first time ever playing in a game collegiately, and so did some good things, and just got to get him be able to just get out there and just play football. He's a very talented guy, and we got to maximize our roster. And so to me, he's one of our guys that can make plays with the ball in his hand. And so, that's the decision we had to make when Michael got hurt.
Coach, obviously one offensive touchdown in 3 Big Ten games. What do you see as the big issues there? Why do you think that the numbers are what they are?
Well, to me, we're turning the ball over. You can go through and you can look at those games. That's number one. Number two, the red zone issues. To me, just to be able, when you get down in there, and I know you can go ahead and say what you want about, those 3 Big Ten teams have really, really, really good defenses, all 3 of them, and they're really good in the red zone. You get in that area of the field, it's even harder to score on those really good defenses. And so, but at the same time, that's reality. That's what it is. So you just got to be able to do some things. And I will say this too. Even you talk about even yesterday's or Saturday's game, and we had 3 opportunities where receivers were open. I thought wide open, but we just need to be able to get them the football for a variety of reasons. And so that's where you have to execute. And so you talk about, to me, that's really where it comes back to consistent execution at critical times. And obviously the red zone is a critical time. And whether it's the fact you get a long drive, which we have had several of those, and you get down in there, you got to be able to finish through that drive and through the fatigue of that drive and execute when it counts the most. And so right now we're not doing that. So you got to evaluate why. You go through, you look at those things, and it's whether it's play calling, whether it's the scheme, whether it's the guy that's executing, and it's a combination of everything for sure. But at the end of the day, players got to make those plays, and we got to put them in position to make those plays. And you make those plays when you're confident and when you're decisive, and that's what we got to get to. And so that's the part that the numbers are what they are. You can see them, you said them. I agree with it, and so definitely a huge emphasis. Going to make some things, change some things structurally, how we practice, how we get ready, the things we do down in there. So it's a huge point of emphasis without question.
Coach, there's no denying that Ohio State is a fabulous team, ranked top 5, but they're also a young team. They start 5 freshmen and 7 sophomore, give or take each game. So how do you feel like that playing a young team like that will work to your team's advantage?
Well, we are at home. That's a positive thing. And there's no question they do have some youth. They have some very talented youth, mind you. But it is youth is youth. And so I think that you're playing on the road and expecting a big crowd and loud crowd and the intensity and the energy like we had this past Saturday and like we've had at all of our home games, which has been awesome. And that plays into that, And so, but that's part of it. And we got to be able to, in that moment, we got to play our best football. And there's no doubt that that's the objective, that's the goal. And that's what we're going to do, everything within our power to do that against a team that is very, very talented and has a lot of really good football players, and they're very well coached.
Coach, I know that there's 6 games left, knowing you have to win 4 of those to become bowl eligible. I know you go week by week, but that has to be in the back of your mind of what lays out in front of you. And then offensively, you mentioned some possible schematic changes with Donovan McCulley. We saw Purdue over the weekend use a 3-quarterback rotation, which was odd. But can you expound on the potential differences that schematically that we may see?
Not too specific, but just because for obvious reasons, but at the same time, to me, you got to do everything you can do to be able to maximize this opportunity in front of us against Ohio State. And so whatever we got to do to be able to help us score points is going to whether how many quarterbacks we use and how we use them and how we scheme things and design things has got to be with that objective in mind. So there's no question we understand the big picture, but the bottom line is it's total absolute 100% focus on what we got ahead of us, and this is the biggest game of the season because it's the next one, and it just happens to be against Ohio State. Obviously we know who they are and what they have done in the past, but we're playing the Ohio State team that's on this field in 2021. So that's the group we're attacking, that's the film we're studying, that's what we got you ready for. So it's a great opportunity, great challenge, and one that I expect our team to be fully prepared for.
Kind of going back to Donovan, I know you've said you're not going to kind of give week-by-week updates on Mike, but especially when you sort of evaluate, for example, Donovan's role, do you almost kind of put yourself in a position where you think, I've got to be prepared for Mike to be out for a more extended period of time, and therefore we've got to look at a young guy like Donovan and say, well, we've just got to get him ready like this, rather than maybe thinking we can protect him simply because we just may need more from him if Mike's injury kind of continues to stretch out?
Yeah, because I really do, being honest in the fact that we don't know the length of time, and when you don't know, and we've been told it could be shorter, it could be longer. We don't know that right now, but it is truly week to week, and so I think because of that, and knowing that he is the number 2, he is the next guy in the game if something happens to Jack, so you have to prepare him as such, and so to me, you had to have a long-term mindset with that, how we scheme, how we develop things, and not think like, hey, we're still going to try and protect him, for those 4 games. And so to me, you just take that out of your head and you just assume that would be the case. And if Michael's back sooner, then that's great, And so, but at the same time, he has to have that mindset. We wanted to have that mindset, and that's the way we're approaching it. And so we want to make sure that he's ready, and we're also doing things to allow him to be able to be successful on the field and put him in position to have those reps and gain that valuable experience, but also in a way to help us find a way to score points and win games.
Obviously, you mentioned Noah earlier. Wanted to dig a little bit more into his play. Basically, I know he was a guy that played a lot of safety. Just what told you kind of in the first place that you guys could move him over there, and what's just the transition been like for him, and what's made him good, as
With
a
Noah?
player? Noah, yeah.
Yeah, I just think the first quality that stuck out to me for him, like I said, was just his competitive toughness. He's got a very good football mind. He's able to play multiple positions. That's what's allowed us to move him around. Some guys, you move them from one position to another, and it takes too long for them to pick things up. He's not that way. He's got a really high football IQ, understands the game, anticipates, and what he might lack in size, he makes up for in toughness. Very good tackler. You saw that on Saturday. Tough kid, physically tough. He's strong. He showed up on special teams all last year. To me, that's always a great indicator of how well they're going to play if they're a young guy in our defense moving forward. And, I think of a guy like Maurice Freeman, just like that, that's a true freshman right now. We're going to find more ways to get him involved on special teams. It's a guy like that that shows up in practice when you go live and just has a knack to make plays, and that's how Noah was. And so we're always trying to find, we've had these corners in front of him that were pretty good players, and so you're like, okay, let's move him to where we get a chance to get him on the field. We played him at the Husky position. He's played safety position. He's done different things on third downs, but he came here as a corner, out of high school, and so that's where it was just kind of like, hey, we got to. Now that when those guys were out, we had to move him back to corner. So that's it. And see, Josh St. Good is the same thing. I mean, he was a guy that came here as a corner, moved him to safety. So he's a guy you could move back to corner if you had to for certain situations. That's why you try to really recruit as many corners as you can, and the ones that get bigger and the ones that outgrow that position, they can move to safety. And then always Raheem Lane, same thing. He came here as a corner. Now he's playing safety. So that cover skill set that you like, the toughness it takes to play that position, if they got the size to grow into safety, then that how it often happens. So that's kind of in recruiting what you're trying to do. That helps you with your flexibility of your positions. And when things like this happen, you got a guy you can move around. So, and that nickel position, what we call the Husky, is kind of falls in line with it because really it's kind of a bigger, thicker corner in a lot of things that we try to do. So that's where that helps you as a football team defensively.
Just kind of, you've talked about Donovan's role a bit. I want to just kind of expand on that a little bit more. Like he played the 3 snaps in the first half. What kind of was the plan you initially had for him in the game, and as the game progressed, how did that seem to change, I guess, a little bit? Because I imagine you probably expected to use him for a little bit more than 3 snaps.
Yeah, so I would say, just as you go through, the feel of the game and just kind of how obviously the tightness of the game, creates a certain, type of situation you have for a young guy like that. But yeah, I'd like to see him play more. And I know we will. I really do believe that. But just kind of grow him as a player. He was nervous. We talked about that even yesterday. But now he's got that first snap out of the way, first throw out of the way. First throw wasn't a very accurate throw, but had a couple of decent runs. But just want to be able to do, because he's a quarterback. He can throw it and he can run it, and that's what we want to see him do. And so to me, it's just, I expect that role to grow and the things we can do with him to expand each and every week, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Coach, you've had to face off against some of top teams in the country already this year. You get another one coming in this week. It's been punch after punch after punch for you guys. I'm just curious for you guys, and most importantly for the players in the locker room, when those punches keep on coming, I guess for you as the coach, how do you change their mindset to keep them fresh every week when it just kind of feels like you're taking these blows week in and week out?
You keep punching yourself, and I think that's key. And we're swinging hard, and this team believes in what we're doing, and there's a lot of character in that locker room. a lot of toughness. Yeah, they're hurting after that game Saturday, and as well as myself and our whole coaching staff. But I tell you what, there's just there's a toughness to this group, and but it's got to start with us as leaders. And yeah, this has been hard. There's no doubt about it. It's not what any of us expected, not what any of us wanted. And but you find yourself in it. What are you going to do? And so that's where you just keep on swinging. But you also got to, as you're swinging, you got to make adjustments. And you got to go through and get things corrected and fixed, and not just keep doing the same old thing. And so, but at the same time, when you talk about the team, and that's where you draw on your leadership and the guys on this team. And I went around to all key guys after the game, after I got done with all my responsibilities with media and talking to guys one-on-one and just getting in their head and talking to them. And same thing yesterday. And, that's one thing I will say is, and you don't know, obviously how the season's going to play itself out, but we made a change where we went from Sunday as our off day to Monday as our off day. And I'm really thankful that we did, because I needed to be with this team the day after, these close losses and these as they continue to put us in a tough spot. And just to be able to be in front of them, I think that's been critical, very important. I've loved the way our guys have responded, and even if they may come in feeling a certain way in the early afternoon, I want them to leave. When we're done at 7 o'clock, that their mindset is the way it needs to be. We've had a chance to be with them. We've lifted. We've been on the field. We've been in meetings, and we've had a chance to be in front of them. And just, just got to pray for wisdom to be able to know how to say things to them, to be able to, and when you know your team and you're connected with them, that helps. But at the same time, yeah, this is tough, but that's part of it. And our guys got a ton of grit, and grit is perseverance and passion towards a long-term goal. It's going to take a ton of perseverance and passion for this team to be able to stay together, keep fighting, and keep playing our best each week, even when you fall short. And you got to keep persevering, keep fighting, keep working together, stay together, keep believing, and just stay the course. And that's what we're going to do. And to me, you just don't blink. We talk about it all the time. Earmuffs and blinders, got to have them on heavily at this time, and do not blink.
We didn't get a chance to ask you about that 2-point conversion that you missed. It's had huge ramifications not being able to tie it up.
Yep.
Was it executed right, or was it the kind of play you wanted?
Yeah, to me, you had several options on the play, and then they brought pressure up the field. And to me, one of our pullers got stuck on the tackle, which allowed them to have an extra guy, for the shovel pass. And so you basically had several different things, and that's what you usually you want several different options. I felt like that, Peyton Hendershot's a guy that we've trying to find a way to get involved, getting the ball. He's a big guy. He can lean forward and get tough yards, and don't have a lot of big backs, So, but at the same time, it wasn't executed to the level it needed to be to get in the end zone, So to me, that was really, you don't ever know what they're going to call, obviously, and they don't know what we're going to call. But something we had worked on and felt good about. And so just got to execute it. Those plays are tough, especially because if you're trying to, most 2-point plays, it's usually some kind of a pass. You don't really load up on the run on those usually, even as a defensive-minded person, when you look at people as they do those things. And so you like to be able to get pressure up the field, and then you have that ability to, if that happens, and you can dump it underneath there and sneak in behind the guy and be able to get him in the end zone. So, but didn't execute it. Yeah, that was huge. We obviously knew we needed to go for 2 and had a plan. Talked about it even way before that drive was first going. I said, hey guys, when we score, we know we're going for 2. Make sure we have great to feel good about the call. So, but once again, execution at a high level, critical times. That's how you win those close games.
Yeah, Childers and Irvin Poindexter, how did you feel like they responded to their increased roles, and what do you see them adding in the running game?
Yeah, they made some plays. I both had some solid runs Saturday that we needed, and they just got opportunities been presented to those guys, and they've done some good things. Obviously they got to keep getting better, keep working, keep executing. They're throwing in there in all situations. They got to be able to pass protect. They got to be able to catch the football. They got to be able to run the football, read their keys. They have done a good job, especially Chris has done a good job reading his keys and reading the runs properly. Davion at times has hit some good ones, and then also he gets a little bouncy. Needs to stay up in there at times, but stick to the reads. But just feel like that's, that room where we've obviously had to have guys step up, and still need some other young guys to continue to be brought along. And whether it's David and Trent, those 2 guys continue to work with the 1s and 2s and keep rotating them in and letting those guys develop as well. So I do want to make sure I don't forget to give out our scout team players of the week. Those guys play a critical role, and do a great job for us. Defensive Scout of the Week was Ray Stewart, and Offensive Scout Team Player of the Week was Charlie Spiegel, and the Special Team Scout of the Week was Matt Holt. So just 3 in-state guys that have come here from high schools here in Indiana, working extremely hard for us, help us get ready, and excited for those guys' futures here.
Just one last thought on the Donovan decision and such. You as the keeper of this program, and you have a long-term contract, and you have goals for this team contending and winning Big Ten championships. How much thought went into the process of how much can Donovan help us contend for a Big Ten title in 2025, as opposed to how much he can help us right now? Is that factored in any way?
Well, it definitely is, and I feel like that you have to first and foremost say, okay, can this individual help us win games right now? You know, and if he's in a position to do that, then that's what you need to do. And bottom line is that you know, situation occurred. You know, we've got one of our other quarterbacks on scholarship that's, you know, tore his ACL in Dexter Williams, you know, last spring, so he's not available. And then obviously when Michael had his injury, you know, that leaves you those 2 scholarship guys on that are healthy, you know, and so that's the position that we're in and the situation that we're in. And so those are other variables. That was the reason why initially the thought was to strategically use, you know, like we actually were going to use Donovan in the Idaho game. So we're like, no, let's keep that, to use those 4 games, you know, more judiciously moving forward, where we may need him in a Big Ten game, you know, to be able to give us, you know, whatever might be needed at that point. So, but then when Michael went down and now he's the number 2, you know, you just got to say, okay, you know what, this is in an ideal situation, you like to be able to keep that red shirt. And so, but at this point, where we're at, that doesn't appear to be the case. And so we're just going to, and we'll see what happens with Michael and how that all plays itself out. And that could change, you know, in the short term. But as a mindset that we have, we just kind of say, hey, we got a plan and get him ready and have a scheme ready and have the plan ready. So, but, and I do think there's no doubt, there's a big picture view here of everything that we do in recruiting and roster management, which has dramatically changed in the last couple of years with how you view those things, with the transfer portal now, the way things are and the way things go with different stuff. It's a very different landscape than it used to be, and continues to be on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. And so that's where, you know, you have to be able to always be thinking about your current team first and foremost, but also with the future in mind.
Sorry, circling back to Noah Pierre. I think he's been around. I think this is his 4th year now, and I think this is probably the most we've seen him kind of on defense anyway. Where obviously, you know, I know he's played a lot on special teams, but position-wise, he's a defensive player. I mean, what does a guy like that mean to your program when, at a time when obviously sort of ease of use of the transfer rules has never been higher? Just a guy like that who sticks around, I guess, as much as anything else, and then maybe, you know, sort of performs the way he did Saturday when he gets this opportunity. What does that mean for your program?
It means a lot, and it's always meant a lot, doing this for a long time, to see a kid like that rewarded for persevering when he wasn't getting to play, because, you know, he's like everybody else. He came here, he wanted to play, especially after here for a couple of years. You know, you really want that. But then I think last year, you know, he accepted that role in special teams, wanted a more expanded role like they all do, but stayed the course, and we had a lot of good conversations. And, you know, he never even, you know, it never, I don't know if it even dawned on him, or if we never had conversations where he was talking about, some guys and I have sat down and talked about things like that, just trying to help them with their future and where we saw them for their future in our program. But I just think it just speaks to his commitment to who we are and his belief in our program, and him wanting to be here and wanting to graduate from here and wanting to, you know, get a degree from here and being able to finish what he started, you know. So, and I respect that so much, and I know it's become a different mindset for some guys, and understandably so in some situations. I get that, but I just feel like that it just speaks volumes to him believing in us and what we're doing here, and then just the value of a guy like that staying the course. That now all those reps that he was taking in the past, whether it was a backup or in spring football or in fall camp, and when he would probably get more of his reps, And now this is his moment to be able to step up and at critical times to be able to make game-changing plays and just consistent plays. So I just appreciate him so much. That's why I recognized him yesterday. He had 9 tackles in the game and had him, just commended him for his perseverance and passion towards his long-term goal, which was to find a way to get on the field here and help us win games. Awesome. Have a great day. Elio.